It's surprising how quickly things can go downhill in Hollywood, and Rachel Zegler is finding that out the hard way. Not long ago, she was being called the next big star. Her journey felt like a fairy tale unknown teen suddenly handpicked by Steven Spielberg for West Side Story. Fans loved the fact that she stood out among thousands. She had the look, the voice, and the charm to match. She even won a Golden Globe. Then Disney came along and gave her the role of Snow White, one of their most legendary characters. It looked like she had it all: fame, success, and a legacy in the making. But instead of building on her success, she ended up burning it all down. This is where things started to go wrong. While promoting Snow White, Rachel took a completely different approach. Rather than embracing the fairy tale charm people loved for decades, she criticized it. She didn't just move away from the 1937 version, she openly bashed it. She called the prince a stalker, said Snow White wouldn't need a man to save her, and labeled the original story outdated and silly. Maybe she was trying to sound modern and progressive, but there's a big gap between refreshing a story and insulting it. And Disney fans, they didn't like that one bit. Twitter exploded, Reddit went wild. And just like that, Rachel was no longer seen as Hollywood's rising star. She became known as the actress who disliked Snow White. But the controversy didn't end there. Things got even worse when she jumped into political debates during the 2020 election. She posted on Instagram, saying she hoped Trump supporters would never find peace. Now, whether you agree with her or not, the reality is she represents Disney. And Disney is all about staying neutral, safe, and family-friendly, not casting curses on half the country. That post went viral, but not in a good way. And Disney, they stayed completely silent. No comment, no support, nothing. Which usually means they're scrambling behind the scenes to fix things quietly. So, what does someone do when the internet turns against them? When the lead actor is caught in controversy, movie delays usually follow, and that's exactly what happened. With the studio clearly nervous, Rachel tried to make a comeback not through movies, but live theater. She landed the lead role of Eva Peron in Jamie Lloyd's production of Evita at the London Palladium, a part once owned by icons like Madonna and Patti LuPone. This was her chance to win people back, to remind everyone she's more than headlines, she's got real talent. But things didn't go smoothly. The show made a risky choice. Some called it creative, others called it strange. During the famous Don't Cry For Me, Argentina *, Rachel stepped onto a real balcony and performed for the fans on the street. Meanwhile, audience members who paid up to $500 inside the theater had to watch that moment on a screen. Imagine spending a fortune on front row tickets, only to end up watching a key scene on a screen just like you would at home. It led to confusion, chaos, and a flood of memes. Reviews started coming in. Some praised her voice. Others said she had strong stage presence, but none of that mattered anymore. The spotlight had shifted from her talent to the controversy, the strange creative decisions, and the growing criticism. Ticket prices dropped fast. Some nights it was pay what you want, and other nights, tickets were completely free. From Disney royalty to street performances, people began saying Rachel's problems weren't just bad luck, they were a sign she was hard to work with. Not the dramatic kind, but the quiet, draining type, the one who always thinks she knows best. Rumors spread that she clashed with directors, questioned everything, and acted like she was the most experienced person in the room. A crew member reportedly said Rachel talked like she was smarter than the story itself. Another claimed she kept trying to rewrite Snow White's lines during rehearsals, pushing hard for a more modern spin. And while confidence can be a strength, in a massive company like Disney, that kind of resistance from a newcomer doesn't sit well. The strain wasn't just behind the scenes, it became public. People noticed Disney slowly stepping back, posters quietly vanished from stores, toys never hit the shelves, marketing stopped cold. Even at Disneyland, Snow White merchandise started disappearing. In Disney stores, there was no trace of Rachel's version. For a movie that was already filmed and edited, that's a big red flag. And when Disney goes quiet, it's never by accident. It's a strategy. They weren't just postponing the film, they were trying to erase it. Then the fans jumped in. Lifelong Disney lovers felt let down. They grew up with these classics, and they weren't looking for political messaging. People weren't looking for a lesson, they just wanted that warm, nostalgic feeling, the magic they remembered from childhood. But instead, They got an actress who seemed to mock it. One Reddit user summed it up: she acts like she's above the role, like she's ashamed to play Snow White. And once a fanbase turns against you that strongly, winning them back becomes nearly impossible. Every interview she gave made things worse. Every attempt to explain just made the backlash grow. And as the internet does, people started revisiting her older work. Her once celebrated performance in West Side Story was suddenly under a harsher spotlight. People noted how the movie flopped at the box office, even with great reviews. Then came Shazam to which barely made a dent, and for those who did see it, Rachel's role wasn't enough to make it memorable. Now, instead of being seen as Hollywood's next big thing, she was being called box office poison. And *V to*. What started as a hot ticket quickly turned into a major letdown. People weren't just leaving the show, they weren't even showing up. What used to be a full house turned into rows of empty seats. Discount tickets became standard. On one night, they were even letting people in for whatever loose change they had. At that point, it wasn't about talent, it was about the damage to the brand. And Rachel's name wasn't drawing crowds anymore. It was driving them away. Behind the scenes, insiders didn't hold back. One source said the producers regretted casting her but felt stuck. Another claimed the show had to be reworked to fit Rachel's creative vision. If that's true, then the criticism wasn't just about her acting, it was about how her presence was affecting the whole team. Some said she was surrounded by people who never told her no. Others felt she was just too inexperienced to handle the pressure. Either way, the fallout was already in motion. And honestly, none of this would have mattered if the audience loved her, but they didn't, or maybe they just didn't know how. Was she supposed to be a star or an activist, a performer, or someone pushing boundaries? Her image kept changing, and her message was never clear. Fans got tired of trying to figure her out, so they did what audiences usually do when things get confusing. They quietly walked away. No noise, no drama, just silence. Behind the scenes, producers started discussing backup plans. Some quietly stepped back, others waited to see if things would turn around. But they didn't. The theaters stayed empty, online talk stayed negative. Rachel's name was trending not for her work, but for the wrong reasons. Even early supporters, the ones who once called her bold and refreshing, began to go quiet. Not because she lacked talent, but because at some point, talent isn't enough to repair a brand that's already taken too many hits. The sad thing is, her talent was never the problem. Critics agreed Rachel could sing, she could act, but in the eyes of the public, it's not just about talent. It's about how you're seen, it's about timing. It's about knowing when to stay quiet and when to step up. And Rachel, whether due to bad guidance or pure stubbornness, kept speaking when silence might have helped. The more she talked, the more she pushed her views. And the more she pushed, the more audiences pulled away. Eventually, studios began quietly cutting her from promotional content. One insider even admitted they were testing how the campaign would do without her name. That's Hollywood's way of saying she's a risk. Snow White was supposed to be a guaranteed hidden nostalgic moneymaker. Instead, it was being edited on the fly to reduce her presence, not showcase it. Delays slowly turned into silence. The excitement around the movie faded into uneasy chatter. And just like that, Rachel became the face of a film no one wanted to claim. It was never meant to go this way. She had everything going for her: Spielberg, a Golden Globe, Disney, Broadway. A dream resume built for stardom, but sometimes one badly timed comment can derail it all. And in Rachel's case, it wasn't just one, it was a string of missteps, awkward moments, and a failure to sense the mood. She wasn't just up against critics, she was battling the audience, the studios, and her own reputation. Behind the scenes, insiders began using a term, Hollywood jail. It's not full cancellation, it's where actors go when the phone stops ringing. When you're not officially shut out, but no one's reaching out either. It's that quiet in between, where doors don't slam, they just stop opening. That's exactly where Rachel ended up, too well known to fade away, but too polarizing to fully support.